Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass. Thank you for watching this Ag Forecast brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. Our software gives growers the insights to make the best decisions possible about their operations. Well, let's get right down to what I think a lot of people want to talk about in this video, because we've been hearing a lot about it on the news, been hearing a lot about it on the Weather Channel, and folks really want to know what we should be expecting in terms of snow over the coming week, especially as we head into Christmas. So what I'm going to show you first here is a map I showed you last time. It's just the updated version of it. This is the European model, what we call the EPS probabilities. And what you're seeing here is the probability of the model predicting snowfall over an inch between basically now and early morning on Tuesday, December 26th. So if we kind of match up the colors here, what we see is that the more you get up into these reds, the higher the probability. So pretty good chance in Montana of having a white Christmas. But what's interesting is that when you come down into this area, we're watching a couple of systems over the next 10 days that could really cause some major travel headaches, cause some major problems as we approach the Christmas holidays, but certainly be dumping a lot of snow in parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. One big one we're watching out for. Then there's a second system that looks like it might go through parts of Kansas into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana once we get nearer to the Christmas holiday. And that's why you can see right in through this area, we've got a region here that's better than 50% probability of getting snow. And just to kind of put this in perspective, for example, right here where I'm from, near Champaign, Illinois, our normal probability of snowfall on Christmas is about 33%. So we can see from this map what we're expecting, so let's get right into it. So this is what everyone's talking about. What we got here is an animation from the late afternoon Sunday model runs, and what you just saw was the accumulation of precipitation in this form of snowfall using a 10-to-1 ratio, getting us all the way out until the 27th. Now, there has been an enormous amount of model spread, and nothing is settled just yet, but I'm going to show you the latest and kind of put together a story here. First things first, Idaho, Montana, you're getting slammed. I saw some reports here in the forecast. We're expecting better than 50 inches of snow in some of the higher countries. So the high mountain area is certainly going to get hammered with snow, as this is going to be the first region that really gets it. But as you saw in the animation, we're watching a system that's going to be taking shape later on this week that's going to go through parts of Minnesota into Wisconsin and up toward here in Michigan. And while right now on Sunday afternoon and early evening, this is where the model run is kind of picking up on the heavier snow bands, there's still a lot of potential for this to shift in any direction. So we're going to watch it very closely throughout the week. So nothing's set in stone, neither are the amounts, but I'm just giving you the best picture I've got right now. So let's kind of walk this back again and just kind of show you the big players here. So this is Monday's total snowfall. So look at that, already getting hammered here in Idaho and parts of Montana. As we move into Tuesday, things don't look too bad, but then really the show gets going Wednesday into Thursday. So here comes the first system. This is midnight on Thursday. Watching it develop right up to here and go racing toward Wisconsin. So watch this. In my next few clicks, that's when the heavy snow starts to accumulate. Here we are, 12 a.m. on Friday. So this is midnight, early Friday morning. We've already got all that snow. So this is going to be a Wednesday, Thursday event for this area. After that goes through, we get those heavy snowfalls there. We are going to be watching a pretty massive change in temperatures across the midsection of the country, and that cold air has some staying power, which means the next system that comes through here, which we still have a lot of uncertainty about this one as well, any precipitation falling north of about the line I'm drawing right in through here will be falling as snow, and that's why they're concerned about this one bringing a few inches of snow into parts of Kansas, into Missouri, Illinois area by the time we get to the end of this forecast. Now, the question is, what kind of model agreement do we have? Well, here was the Sunday update from the European model. We see pretty strong agreement on the big areas. For example, big snowfall out here in the Intermountain West. We see the heavier snows in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. But the location of that bigger snow belt that we were talking about earlier, we kind of got two separate events that we got to be watching here, and these are going to move a lot in the coming days. So I'm just going to be totally honest with you. I'm not ready to make a call here on Sunday as to exactly where the heavy snow bands are going to be. Usually about 2 to 3 days out, we have a much better clue, but forecasting heaviest snows in winter is probably one of the biggest forecasting challenges we have, outside of long-range forecasting, which will, I think, always be a massive challenge for us. So let's take a look at what we're expecting in terms of precipitation as a function of time. So we got an animation here. Let's play all the way out for the next 10 days and break this down piece by piece. Now let's bring it back here to Monday. This is midnight on Monday, so this is just a couple hours from now when I'm making this video. Now the thing we're going to be watching as Monday moves on, there again we can see the heavy snows in the high country here in Montana and Idaho. But on Monday we're going to be watching for a big plume of moisture to come out ahead of this trough that's digging out in the west, and that's going to, not really out far west, but here in the Intermountain West, out ahead of it lifting some air, bringing that precipitation we talked about in our last update. So we can kind of see that moving across. Now, after that moves across the southeast, on Wednesday, we got to be watching right here. And this will be key to figuring out where the heavy snow bands are going to fall. Because there's going to be a broader trough that digs into this area, building into a broader ridge, we're going to have strong upper level support. That's upper level divergence. That's air kind of evacuating an area, which lowers the atmospheric pressure over this region here. Now, if that low pressure system does take place here in parts of western Nebraska versus South Dakota or versus Kansas, that makes all the difference on the heavy snow track. And the models did settle in on Sunday to kind of have some agreement about where it's going to go. And this is what they're seeing now. So you can see right now, western Nebraska, eastern Colorado, and northeastern Kansas is where it's currently projecting. It's going to hook a little bit to the south, and then watch this. It starts to take straight on off toward Wisconsin. Now, because the jet stream is lifting, in other words, it's not digging deep south, it's actually lifting at this point, the trajectory of the low pressure system is not going to dig so that it brings a ton of snow to the Ohio River Valley. Instead, takes it all to the northern states, so Minnesota, Wisconsin, and into Michigan. There will be some concern at the start of this event for some sleet and freezing rain, hence the pinks that you see here. Because out ahead of this, we are going to see some strong warm air advection. That's strong winds out of the south, bringing temperatures way above average. Now, it's going to be windy. It's going to be cloudy, but out ahead of this thing, really warm compared to average. And as that warm air overrides the colder, shallow air mass at the surface, we could get the perfect situation for some ice to start this whole system off. But once it continues to move, look at that, look how quickly it deepens. By the time it gets over Lake Michigan, we've now really rapidly dropped the pressure. Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, southern Michigan, this is all rain. Even after that cold front comes blasting through, and I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy windy at the end of our week here. Look how tightly spaced these isobars are. Not going to get enough cold air in here right away to bring some big snowflakes. But where it will snow, you just saw that major patch going through there. This is going to be parts of Minnesota, maybe parts of Iowa, really getting into Wisconsin and Michigan as the system heads on off to the northeast. Now, behind this, look at this again. Look at how strong these winds are going to be. That's seen in the spacing of these isobars. It's, just another super windy day here as we get into Saturday. And then once we are through the day on Saturday and that system exits, the cold air arrives, and it's going to be cold. Now, what I'm getting worried about is by the time we get into Sunday, Christmas Eve, right now we're going to be watching this other little system coming right here out of Colorado and kind of stretching across this area. And the current forecast on Sunday, and remember, I have a lot of uncertainty about this, is to bring a little band of light snow right in through this area. And so this could be a travel headache through these states as we get into Christmas Eve and eventually Christmas Day. But that's what's increased the probability for this area, seeing the chance for a white Christmas. Notice, too, we keep a lot of the southeast wet, and that's good because this area's been getting dry. So a lot of positives, even though this is going to be a pretty big travel headache. Okay, here's the one thing I really know, and that is this. Once that system goes through, holy cow, is it going to get cold. You just saw it here. Now, before it gets going, look at this. This is Monday, midnight temperatures well above average. Watch this as I step through Monday. Man, the whole country, as we're waiting on that big trough to dig in, sees, for the most part, warmer than average temperatures on Monday. That continues into Tuesday. Look at this. Wednesday, we're still above average, but watch. The transition begins on Wednesday, so we're going to spend the first half of this week warm, but the transition really begins on Wednesday, and watch the temperatures begin to plummet as that low-pressure system takes place and shapes up right in through here. So here we are. This is midnight Thursday. Watch it move. There it goes. Look at the cold air coming in behind this at midnight on Friday. Out ahead of it, strong southerly winds. We call that warm air advection. While it's going to be cloudy and wet, we're going to certainly see some warm temperatures. But after that cold front, which is right here, goes racing by on Friday, here comes the cold air for your Christmas. Here we go. That is Christmas at noon. Big section of the country seeing below average temperatures except for the southeast. And it looks like right now that this cold air has some staying pattern, at least through our 10-day pattern, more than likely through our 20-day pattern, which gets us all the way into the beginning of the new year. So it's not that every day is going to be cold, but we at least see some staying power in this cooler air over that time period. So that's that. And I'm telling you something, I'll be watching it all week. We'll know very clearly, of course, by Thursday when I give you my next update, as to how the whole thing's going to unfold. But right now, these are the best projections that I can give you. And we are starting to see, like I said, some model agreement on the heaviest snowfall being in Wisconsin and Michigan and parts of Minnesota. If any of that changes, I will release a special video update to make sure that everybody's aware of the bigger shifts. Okay, speaking of shifts, let's get away from the northern hemisphere and get to the southern hemisphere. I want to play for you an animation. It shows you the last 7 days of precipitation. Look at down here in South America. I told you this area's been wet. Look at all the precip. But watch down here in Argentina where we've been dry. Watch right there. See that? That was a monster squall line that went through parts of Argentina. If I step back here real quick and show it to you again, watch it again. This feature right here, this was a, whoops, I didn't go back quite far enough. Let me come back all the way to here. Back to the 16th. There it goes. See that? That's a huge squall line of thunderstorms that just dumped a ton of rain on a region that really needed it. But in addition to that rain, we saw some pretty massive hail. Huge research project going on at the University of Illinois right now called Relampago is down there studying storms that produce this kind of hail. By the way, this is not hail. I believe that is an egg, but whatever. You can see the size of some of these hailstones here. Again, I got these off of Twitter. Great pictures here of some of the nasty weather that's going on down there. Okay, I want to take that. I want to blow this out long term. I told you we were waiting for those mid-month updates from our longer range models. Well, what you're seeing here is this is basically an average of the precipitation biases I expect to see January, February, and March. Now, December, I think, is going to still stay wet for a lot of the growing regions in South America, especially in Mato Grosso, places like that. But the models have been pretty clear that the longer range projections are for a dry bias here. So Mato Grosso's in this location, Goiás is here, the Tocantins are here. So the eastern and northern growing regions look to be dry. We expect near average precipitation during this time period riding through here. So this is Paraguay, which has been dry. This is Uruguay, which has been dry as well. But the southern growing regions may be getting plenty of precip. The models are also picking up on a dry bias in Argentina. So down here in Cordoba, this particular area could be dry as well. Now, here's the thing. The commodity markets, they know this. The data comes out, they get a good look at it. What we're going to be doing from now as we get through March is to see if the model comes in right. You know, currently we're projecting somewhere between 107, 109 million metric ton bean crop out of South America. And if this forecast verifies, I imagine they're going to back off on those numbers somewhat. But at this point, you know, this is very characteristic of La Nina. And I just want to kind of give you the latest that we're seeing here out of South America. Now, in the short term, this is the next 10 days of precipitation. So it's all accumulating here. What we are seeing is that, you know, pretty good precipitation coverage here, but I want to make something kind of shown to you. First, this is actually for the eastern part of the growing regions of Brazil. This is drier than average, although it looks wet, but it's not. This is about normal in through here, so we're going to be seeing some really wet conditions through this area. And even after all the heavy rains we just got here in Argentina, they are expecting another 2 chances for precipitation over the next 10 days coming through most of their growing regions. So in the near term, the weather is not looking bad for South America. Soil moisture has recovered, but we're looking longer term at some stresses in this section of Brazil, and then a lot of Argentina and even some down into Uruguay as well. So again, it's my job now to be watching this closely to see how well these long-range forecasts verify, because we will see the markets move on any sort of adversity that we get out of the South American kind of weather systems. So with that, I'll go ahead and wrap up this video. Thank you for your attention, and I really hope you look forward to Agrible's next ag forecast coming out on Thursday morning. To get a morning farm report for your operations, complete with a daily email that shows you a snapshot of your field conditions each morning, go to morningfarmreport.com. Sign up for our free account. Full grower accounts are free if you sign up for our Sustainable Yield program or for our Growers Work with ADM merchandisers. I look forward to talking again midweek. Keep an eye out on that snowstorm as it comes to the northern part of the Corn Belt there. Talk to you again on Thursday morning.